Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvashesha Shunyavadi Paschat Chadeshatarine Sai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Krishna Kirtana Gana Nartana Paro Premamritam Bonedi Dira Dira Jana Priyo Priyakaro Nirmatsaro Pujito Shri Chaitanya Kripa Bhuro Bhuvi Bhuvo Bharavantarako Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Shri Jiva Gopalako Nana Shastra Vicharanakanipano Saddharma Samstapako Lokenam Mitkarano Tribhuvane Manyo Sharanyakaro Radha Krishna Padara Vinda Bhajanan Ande Namatalako Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Shri Jiva Gopalako. Excuse me, I think the milk is boiling on the stove. I just have to check that. Sorry. Shri Gauranga Gunanuvarnana Vido Samridhya Shraddha Samridhyan Vito Papotapadnikrintano Tanuvritam Govinda Ganamritai Anandam Buddhivardhanaikanipano Kaivalya Nistarako Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Shri Jiva Gopalako Tyaktva Turnamashesha Mandalapati Srining Sadatu Chavan Bhutva Dina Ganesha Karunaya Kopina Kanta Srito Gopi Bhavarasamrta Dilahari Kalola Magnamohu Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Shri Jiva Gopalako Kujat kokilahang sasara saganay, kirne mayura kule, nanaratna nibadamula vitapa, Sri Yukta Sri Vrindavane, Radha Krishna Maharnisham Prabhajato, Jivartado Yomuda, Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyugo, Sri Jiva Gopalako, Sankhya Purvakanaman Kananadibi, Kalavasani Kritau, Nidrahara Vihara Kadi Vijito, Chadyanta Dina Chayam, Radha Krishna Guna Smriter Madhuriman, Andena Samohito, Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyugo, Sri Jiva Gopalako, Radha Kunda Tate Kalinda Tanaya, Tire Chabang Shivate, Premon Madhava Shada Shesha Dashaya, Grastau Pramatau Sadam, Gayantau Chakadarir Gunabarang, Baba Biputau Muda, Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyugo, Sri Jiva Gopalako, Hey Radhe Vraja Devike Chalalite, Hey Nanda Shunokuta, Shri Govardhana Kalpa Pada Patale, Kalindi Vanne Kutam, Goshanta Viti Sarvato Vrajapure, Keder Mahavivalao, Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyugo, Sri Jiva Gopalako, Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyugo, Sri Jiva Gopalako. I heard that Srila Prabhupada said somewhere that if we chant this Sad Goswami Astakam by Srinivasacharya in honor of the 6 Goswamis every day, that one day we will become a Goswami. Isn't that a wonderful meditation to look forward to? So why don't we each take a turn reading a verse translation here. I don't know if every time, if you want to read for my respectful obeisance unto the 6 Goswamis and name all the 6 Goswamis, or if you just want to say 6 Goswamis and then read the translation. But I'll read it once anyway. So it's myself, and then you, Raghabhumi, and then Daneshwar Prabhu, and then we have Janu Muni Prabhu. If everyone's able to read, we can each read a translation. Okay, offer my respectful obeisances unto the 6 Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are always engaged in chanting the holy name of Krishna and dancing. They are just like the ocean of love of God, and they are popular both with the gentle and with the ruffians, because they are not envious of anyone. Whatever they do, they are all pleasing to everyone. and they are fully blessed by Lord Chaitanya. Thus, they are engaged in missionary activities meant to deliver all the conditioned souls in the material universe. Ragabhumi, number 2. Is your mute off? Ragabhumi?
Sorry. Okay. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the 6 Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanata Goswami, Sri Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunatha Dasa Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizing, studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus, they are honored all over the 3 worlds, and they are worth taking shelter of because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis, and they are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Radha and Krishna.
Thank you. Daneshwar Prabhu?
I offer my respectful obeisances unto the 6 Goswamis, who are very much enriched in understanding of Lord Chaitanya, and who are thus expert in narrating his transcendental qualities. They can purify all conditioned souls from the reactions of their sinful activities by pouring upon them transcendental songs about Govinda. As such, they are very expert in increasing the limits of the ocean of transcendental bliss, and they are the saviors of the living entities from the devouring mouth of liberation.
Janamuni Prabhu?
It's Jivan Mukta.
Oh, it's Shiva Mukta, Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Guy.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto the 6 Goswamis, who are always engaged in worshiping Radha Krishna in the transcendental land of Vrindavan, where there are beautiful trees full of fruits and flowers, which have under their roots all valuable jewels. The Goswamis, Gaura Prabhu, could you move it up, please? The Goswamis are perfectly competent to bestow upon the living entities the greatest boon of the goal of life.
And did anybody else arrive after you, Jiva Mukta Prabhu? I guess it's just the 4 of us for now. Okay. Number 6.
I think it's, if I could just make a point there, I think it's so important to see how, even though the Goswamis, at the time this was written, the Goswamis, I believe, had already passed away, correct?
Srinivasacharya was a, what do you call that? A contemporary?
Was he a contemporary of the Goswamis?
Contemporary means at the same time?
Yeah.
And predecessor means before.
Right.
So what's it called when you're after?
A descendant, or,
Successor.
And then, yeah, I think he was the successor. Let's, Ganeshwar doesn't know. Nandapatni, do you know if Srinivasacharya wrote the prayers to the 6 Goswamis after they all departed? Do you know that, Nandapatni?
Well, we just have to see when Srinivasacharya...
When he departed? Or
Anyway, I just wanted to make the point that the 6 Goswamis still, I mean, this is why we chant, right? Because they are still able to bestow upon us the greatest boon of the goal of life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their teachings, it's not as if it's like something that is now invalid, like somehow doesn't have the same potency. We're still reading their books, and
Right. It's not that they become irrelevant or it's an anachronism. Or
exactly, and so much more so in this situation with Srila Prabhupada. Just something that is extremely vital in order for this movement to still to be able to persevere through the ages, is that Prabhupada is alive and well in his books, and we have access to to him directly that way.
Yes, he never left.
Anyway, sorry,
Isn't that a
diversion?
I'm sorry to ask, but it seems to me that this is already understood, isn't it? I mean, is this not accepted by anybody?
I don't know. I mean, I just meet a lot of people that kind of are with their current guru and don't read Prabhupada's books, and feel that as long as they're kind of connected, as long as they're initiated by a current, initiating devotee, that they're connected. But
Yeah. Okay. Now that you mention that, you're correct. For the disciples of our God brothers,
yes,
there is how should you say, that concept is not rare.
that's right.
But of course, among God brothers and God sisters, we still feel that way. But the junior devotees, I'm afraid, do not.
And you got to realize that your God brothers and God sisters are, the reality is that you're, all moving on into your next, phase of existence. You're leaving your bodies, and once you're all,
you're not included in that.
He's being polite. He's trying to be very polite.
all of us. But I'm not a direct Prabhupada. Like, I haven't been initiated by Prabhupada, so I'm not in that category. But of course, I'm waiting in line as well. But once these Prabhupada disciples are gone, this is why I really appreciate Rupa Nuga Prabhu's mood, because really you gotta be like that about Prabhupada, as far as I'm concerned. Like, really, Prabhupada has to be this whole center focus of our lives. And if we lose that in subsequent generations, we're done. It's done, finished. It'll be there. Like, there'll still be Hare Krishnas, but the actual potency that Prabhupada introduced, that'll be gone. And may I even say that, the legitimacy, the purity, of the parampara, the actual message, we already see is changing. So what to speak of when we take the sanctity of Prabhupada's teachings, the central importance of that away? It's finished.
What do you think, Daneshwar Prabhu?
Yeah. Well, what can you say? In some places, well, ISKCON is a very large organization. It's a global organization, and everything it's not homogeneous. Things are different everywhere. What he says is quite correct for many devotees. For example, I was in Lithuania, and Prabhupada's appearance day, and in the morning there was one devotee was taking prasadam, and I said, "Oh, today's Prabhupada's appearance day. What are you doing?" He said, "Oh, Prabhupada's not my guru." I said, "What do you mean? Of course he's your guru. Do you not read his books?" "Yes, of course I read his books." "Then he's your guru. How are you learning about spiritual life? What do you think guru means?" So, I mean, in that case, maybe it's inadequate training or inadequate understanding. But it is true. And I've heard, because I have contact with junior devotees, and I query them from time to time, and I ask them about such things. And it's true that if their guru does not emphasize something, whatever it might be, then the disciples, they don't think of it, they're not very conscientious about it. Okay. So if their guru, if our, our God brothers and God sisters are not speaking in the way Jiva Mukta was just speaking, their disciples are not going to be very conscientious about it.
And I would like to add to that therefore, I can imagine if one has taken initiation from one of our God brothers, whether it was Harikesh or this one or that one, and they had thousands of disciples, and if they can't keep up, to all that pressure and that standard, and they, have to step down, then we see the damage that's done. So many devotees end up blooping, but is that the fault of the guru because he didn't sufficiently connect them to Prabhupada?
My experience is that if they are still Kanishta, that means they have not developed their understanding of philosophy very well. Then if their guru falls down, they will also. But I've seen, for in case of many, especially in Europe, where there are so many devotees who were initiated by our God brothers, and what I've seen among them, that even though their guru has fallen, they are still able to maintain their faith in Christian consciousness because they had read Prabhupada's books and they had a firm understanding of the philosophy.
Sure. Would you agree with Jivan Mukta's statement when he kind of singled himself out, saying that, because he took initiation in '79 and, from Kirtanananda Prabhu, that he didn't get initiated by a Prabhupada? And I'm thinking, well, if we say he got initiated by Prabhupada, which I believe he did, although it was done through Kirtanananda, does that become Ritvik philosophy that I'm expounding?
You want to go there? that's
Was
going to be the
Prabhupada
whole
still alive?
night.
When he got initiated was through Kirtanananda. Was Prabhupada still alive then?
No, it's
No.
70.
Oh, okay, that's different. Yeah.
Is it?
If I may,
Please.
my position is based on the definition of Diksha given in Shastra and particularly in the purport of Madhya Lila, chapter 15, text 108. Diksha is the process of transference of transcendental knowledge, and therefore anybody who's reading Prabhupada's books is getting Diksha. That's not our standard way of understanding, which is a ceremony or an event in which a disciple makes some vows. One time, one of our God brothers who distributed a lot of books asked Prabhupada, so many books have been distributed, how will all these people get initiated? And Prabhupada's reply was, by reading my books, they are initiated. So
Hare Krishna.
there's a lot of different ways to understand it. And personally, I think it's just, I get tired of it. I think it's too much. It's just like, okay, let's forget about that. Who's your guru, this, that, we're all followers of Prabhupada. We're all receiving transcendental knowledge from him. He's a guru for all of us and the whole world. I'll stop there.
Yeah, Prabhupada said, actually, everybody is my disciple. They just don't know it yet. That's a wonderful quote. Not to correct. Go ahead, Jivan.
And that again, exact what Dineshwar Prabhu stated, and which we in our heart of hearts feel and know, objectively and subjectively, is that Prabhupada is unique. He's unique in the entire parampara. There is no one. Lord Chaitanya didn't do what Prabhupada did. No one did what Prabhupada did. That was saved for Srila Prabhupada due to relationship with Krishna. Krishna saved this role for Srila Prabhupada. Anyone who compares Prabhupada to any other one, any other, pure devotee spiritual master is not accurate. It's not an accurate depiction of Srila Prabhupada's role in the parampara and in Krishna consciousness.
Actually, his position is unique because this is the first. Let's go back 300 years. If you were serious about spiritual life and you wanted to pursue spiritual life, what do? You have to go find somebody who's a Uttama Adhikari, hopefully, preferably, ideally, and sit down at their feet and learn from them. There's no other way to understand or to learn about spiritual life. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, fast forward to the 20th century, Srila Prabhupada began his mission just at time when magnetic recording was becoming widely available, jet planes were becoming widely available, video is becoming widely available. And so everything that he said, his morning walks, his books, his recordings, they're all preserved. And so anybody has access to those. And of course, they're translated in so many languages. So we have access to Prabhupada in a way that nobody has had access to Uttama Adhikaris in the past.
Unprecedented, yeah.
Yes, unprecedented. That's a very good word.
A unique time.
Gaura, do you have that at hand, that pranams from Govinda, which is such a lovely honoring of Prabhupada as what does he say, a Shaktivesh of Nityananda?
Can look it up.
What was that?
It's a beautiful pranam mantra that was written by Govinda Maharaj from the Chaitanya Saraswat Mutt, who of course was a young brahmachari staying with Prabhupada back in the day when they was all staying together for a while there when Prabhupada was a householder. But anyway, he wrote this very honorific, beautiful
here it is.
glorification, of Prabhupada.
Here it is. So we know the Nama Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta. Okay, this is what he wrote. Prabhupadaya Te Namaha. Gurvagyam Shirasi Dhartva Shaktavesha Swarupine Hara Krishneti Mantrena Paschat Prachayatanine Vishvacharya Prabharyaya Divya Karunaya Murtaye Shri Bhagavat Madhurya Gita Jnana Pradayane Gaura Shri Rupa Siddhanta Saraswati Nishevine Radha Krishna Padamboja Bringaya Gurave Namaha. I offer my humble obeisances unto His Divine Grace C.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is Krishna's beloved associate and who came down to this plane from Golok. Taking the order of his guru on his head, he is the Shakti-Avesh empowered avatar of Nityananda Prabhu personified. He distributed the Hare Krishna mantra all over the Eastern and Western world, delivering and uplifting all fallen souls. He is the best of millions of Jagat Gurus because he is the personification of divine mercy. He has distributed the sweet nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam and the transcendental knowledge of Bhagavad Gita all over the world. He is constantly engaged in exclusive devotional service to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Rupa Goswami, and Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu. I offer my humble obeisances unto Srila Prabhupada, who is like a bumblebee, always tasting the nectar of the lotus feet of Sri Sri Radha and Govinda. And that is the author there in the center, Srila Govinda Maharaj, between Srila Sridhar and Srila Prabhupada. What inspired you to remember this shloka?
He looks like a Westerner. Is he a Westerner or is he Indian?
No, he's Indian. He just had a head of hair there.
Looks like he has an afro.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I just think it's such an appropriate honoring of the capacity and the magnitude of Prabhupada.
Mhm.
That's what strikes me in this, particular pranam, is that this kind of focus that we all desire so much for Prabhupada is just so embedded in this particular pranam mantra. To me, I think it's wonderful.
There's a story behind it, but I'm sorry, I don't remember it. But it's very nice that he wrote that for our Prabhupada. Yeah, wonderful. Okay, so who was it? Was it Jiva Mukta that was reading the verse? I can't remember now.
Yeah,
I
I
think
divert. I was the one that created the diversion.
Since we're diverting right now, I'd like to divert just a little bit more, and I'd like to respond to the Neshwar, and that is when you mentioned that you saw that devotee honoring prasadam on Prabhupada's appearance day. Well, someone, and I can't remember who, recently said to me, technically speaking, we don't fast on the appearance day of an acharya.
I
Um,
saw that the other day
oh,
also.
okay. Where did you see that?
Um, yeah, what was it? It was the fast. It was the last holy day we had.
Oh, because of
Which was that.
Ramnami. Yeah. Hmm.
And so somebody mentioned that in one of the forums, but I don't agree because
Okay.
that's not how Prabhupada trained us from the earliest days. I always remember Janmashtami, and then next day have fast for Srila Prabhupada.
Right. I mean, the way they were explaining it was because everyone's in the kitchen cooking 108 preparations for Prabhupada, then there wasn't any question of, have cooking prasadam for everybody in the morning. So it became
That was never a problem, and in fact, we all fasted on Prabhupada's appearance day, and we had, of course, a big, huge feast for Srila Prabhupada.
we kind of pigged out the night before Janmashtami, so we probably weren't very hungry the next morning anyway.
Well, we shouldn't have been. We should have had should have had Ekadasi breakfast the night
Right.
before.
Yes, that's the proper way to break. Exactly. So let's see. So you were reading, right? Jiva Mukta? Is that right? Think? Didn't you stop, Jiva Mukta? In the middle of
Yes,
a
I completed my verse. Yeah,
Oh, you did. Okay. And that was the boon of the goal of life, right?
that's right.
Okay, and so it's my turn. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis who are engaged in chanting the holy names of the Lord and bowing down in a scheduled measurement, Sankhya Purvaka. In this way, they utilized their valuable lives, and in executing these devotional activities, they conquered overeating and sleeping, and were always meek and humble, enchanted by remembering the transcendental qualities of the Lord. Ragabhumi, number 7. Are you there?
Yeah, I offer my respectful obeisance unto the six Goswami who were sometimes on the bank of the Radhakunda lake or the shores of the Jamuna and sometimes at Vansivata. There they appeared just like madmen in the full ecstasy of love for Krishna, exhibiting different transcendental symptoms in their bodies, and they were measured in the ecstasy of Krishna consciousness.
Daneshwar Prabhu?
8.
Daneshwar Prabhu? Number 8.
He's not there.
He's not there. Where did he go? Daneshwar is there. I have to ask him to unmute.
He's probably on a phone call or something.
Oh, okay. So did you want to read Nandapatni?
Okay, so the 8th verse, let me just move this. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Dasa Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, who were chanting very loudly everywhere in Vrindavan, shouting, Queen of Vrindavan, Radharani, O Lalita, O son of Nanda Maharaj, where are you now? Are you just on the hill of Govardhan? Or are you under the trees on the bank of the Jamuna? Where are you? These were their moods in executing Krishna consciousness.
Jai. Jivan Mukta Prabhu, would you like to chant the verse and synonyms for us? And the verse itself? Text 7, that's where we are today in the Nectar of Instruction.
Now he's on mute.
Or I can do it if everyone else is busy.
No,
okay, text 7.
He's back.
Sorry, I was on mute.
Okay, go ahead.
Yat Krishna Nama Charitadi Sitapya Vidya Pitopatapta Rasanasya Narochikanu Kintwadvarad Anudinam Kalu Saiva Justa Swadvikramad Bhavati Tadgadamula Hantri. Synonyms. Syat is Krishna, of Lord Krishna. Nama, the holy name. Charita Adi, character, pastimes, and so forth. Sita, sugar candy. Ati, api, although. Avidya, of ignorance. Pitta, by the bile. Upatapta, afflicted. Rasanasya, of the tongue. Not. Rochika, palatable. Nu, oh, how wonderful it is. Kintu, but. Adarat, carefully. Anudinan, every day or 24 hours daily. Kalu, naturally. Sa, that, sugar candy of the holy name. Eva, certainly. Justa, taken or chanted. Svadvi, relishable. Kramat, gradually. Bhavati, becomes. Tadgada, of that disease. Mula, of the root. Hantri, the destroyer. Translation: the holy name, character, pastimes, and activities of Krishna are all transcendently sweet like sugar candy. Although the tongue of one afflicted by the jaundice of avidya, ignorance, cannot taste anything sweet, it is wonderful that simply by carefully chanting these sweet names every day, a natural relish awakens within his tongue, and his disease is gradually destroyed at the root.
Thank you. Okay, this is actually quite a short chapter, although I'm sure we could talk a lot about each paragraph. So why don't we just each read one paragraph each, because if we read each, I'm just thinking one will be good. The holy name of Lord Krishna, his quality, pastimes, and so forth are all of the nature of absolute truth, beauty, and bliss. Naturally, they are very sweet, like sugar candy, which appeals to everyone. Nescience, however, is compared to the disease called jaundice, which is caused by bilious. Do you pronounce it bilious or bilious? I guess bilious secretions. Attacked by jaundice, the tongue of a diseased person cannot palatably relish sugar candy. Rather, a person with jaundice considers something sweet to taste very bitter. Avidya, ignorance, similarly perverts the ability to relish the transcendently palatable name, quality, form, and pastimes of Krishna. Despite this disease, if one with great care and attention takes to Krishna consciousness, chanting the holy name and hearing Krishna's transcendental pastimes, his ignorance will be destroyed and his tongue enabled to taste the sweetness of the transcendental nature of Krishna and his paraphernalia. Such a recovery of spiritual health is possible only by the regular cultivation of Krishna consciousness. Any comment on that before moving on? Ragabhumi, you'll be next. I like this terminology, a recovery of spiritual health, because I'm thinking there's a lot of recovery groups around these days, right? There's the AA and other kinds of recovery groups. And Prabhupada is saying here, the recovery of spiritual health only possible by the regular cultivation of consciousness.
In that regard, Prabhupada wrote one paper, Conceptions of Gita Nagari, and it's on the Veda base. But the idea there, he said, Gita Nagari shall be a transcendental hospital for the purpose of bringing back the health of those who are afflicted with with spiritual disease. And the whole thing is written in such a way that by saying it, Gita Nagari, associating with devotees, gradually one recovers their spiritual healthy condition.
There was recently a post on Facebook. I think Gaura Prabhu, you saw it. It was a quote of Bhaktisiddhanta wherein he states that everything is revealed simply by chanting the holy name. You know, the appreciation of Lord Krishna, our own and Lord Krishna's form, pastimes, everything is ultimately revealed by the chanting of the holy name, and no effort other than chanting purely should be made. There shouldn't be any extraneous effort in trying to, understand, one's relationship with Krishna and all these type of things. Bhaktisiddhanta was saying that it's all revealed by the holy name. And this verse basically is saying the same thing, that it's the chanting, it's getting that sweet taste. By developing that sweet taste, everything becomes revealed.
Did anyone here ever experience jaundice? I fortunately never have.
No.
But as it's being explained here, even the rock candy, which is the cure for jaundice, even that tastes bitter. But you have to take it anyway.
You know what?
And the science.
I think I had, I don't know if it was jaundice, but it was some form of COVID. I don't know whether, I thought it was COVID at the time. It was just before, the official announcement in February of 2020, December of 2019. I was so sick. And my sense of taste was completely disrupted to the point where even water tasted bitter. Everything tasted just terrible. I couldn't eat anything for 2 weeks.
Wow.
Everything just tasted horrible. Anything sweet was bitter. It was just, everything tasted artificial. It was just horrible. So I don't think it was jaundice, but it was definitely something that affected my sense of taste.
Must be bizarre. But so here's explained that even though even rock candy will taste bitter in the jaundice state, that's the cure. You got to go on taking it. So sometimes it seems a little austere to apply ourselves to hearing and chanting, but that's only because of our diseased state.
Yeah.
Ragabhumi, are you ready to read the next paragraph?
Yeah, I do.
When a man...
I can't. Where is the text?
When a man in the material world. Hello?
Yeah, but 1 minute. Okay. When a man in the material world takes more interest in the materialistic way of life than in Krishna consciousness, he is considered to be a diseased condition. The normal condition is to remain an eternal servant of the Lord, Jivera Swarupa Raya, Krishna Nitya Dasa, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 208. This healthy condition is lost when the living entity forgets Krishna due to be attracted by the external features of Krishna's Maya energy. This world of Maya is called Dushashraya, which
Durashraya.
means Dushraya, which means false or bad shelter. One who puts his faith in Dushrayas becomes a candidate for hoping against hope. In the material world, everyone is trying to become happy, and although they mind material attempts are baffled in every way, due to their innocence, they cannot understand their mistakes. People try to rectify one mistake by making another mistake. This is the way of the struggle for existence in the material world. If one in these conditions is advised to take it to Krishna consciousness and be happy, he does not accept such instructions. More?
Then from Daneshwar Prabhu.
This Krishna consciousness movement is being spread all over the world just to remedy this gross ignorance. People in general are misled by blind leaders, the leaders of human society. The politicians, philosophers, and scientists are blind because they are not Krishna conscious. According to Bhagavad Gita, because they are bereft of all factual knowledge due to their atheistic way of life, they are actually sinful rascals and are the lowest among men. Namam duskrituno mudha prapadyante naradama maya paritagyana ashuram. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me.
You've done quite a bit of research on this topic, Daneshwar Prabhu. I think you're one of the world acharyas on understanding the demoniac nature because of the nature of your book. Do you have a comment to make on this verse before we move on?
Well, I think I've shared with you before the letter that I wrote to Prabhupada asking him about using my scientific credentials in Christian service. This is before the days of BI. And I suggested making an experiment to prove that the moonshine provides the succulence and taste to the fruits and vegetables. And in this way, we can convince the scientists about the validity of Bhagavad Gita. And Prabhupada's reply was that we're not interested in convincing the scientists because, after all, they're atheists. And if they choose to remain atheistic, what can we do? Our main aim is to convince the innocent public that life comes from life and not from matter. So Prabhupada was very much down on the scientists, on the atheist science because it's atheistic. They want to take shelter of the material energy, not believing that there is a God.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, as far as the other stuff about the demons, my spiritual economics book is available as a download, or you can read it on the 2017 release of the database. So anybody can go there and look at it. That's chapter 7, the divine and demonic consciousness, in which I give a lot of detail about the demonic consciousness.
Thank you. I've noticed I've gone on Facebook pages where I've brought some arguments against Darwinism, and man, they'll just eat you up there alive. They'll just start smashing you. There's just no critical thinking going on there, and I see the hypocrisy because in the same way that they blame us for having blind faith in religion, so they have blind faith in their speculations as well.
Yeah, well, they're indoctrinated in that, entirely through school. It's a complete indoctrination. And even though back in the 90s, when the creation scientists were presenting their material, these are good scientists and they do good science, but due to the political nature of our education system, there's not even a hearing for them.
Mm-hmm. Nanda Patni, you're next. Such people.
Such people never surrender to Krishna, and they oppose the endeavor of those who wish to take Krishna's shelter. When such atheists become leaders of society, the entire atmosphere is surcharged with nescience. In such condition, people do not become very enthusiastic to receive this Krishna consciousness movement, just as a diseased person suffering from jaundice doesn't relish the taste of sugar candy. However, one must know that for jaundice, sugar candy is the only specific medicine. Similarly, in the present confused state of humanity, Krishna consciousness and the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is the only remedy for setting the world aright. Although Krishna consciousness may not be very palatable for a diseased person, Srila Rupa Goswami nonetheless advises that if one wants to be cured of the material disease, he must take to it with great care and attention. One begins his treatment by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, because by chanting this holy name of the Lord, a person in the material condition will be relieved from all misconceptions. Cheto darpanamajanam, Sisi Anchalila. Avidya, a misconception about one's spiritual identity, provides the foundation for ahankara, or false ego, within the heart.
Because I live in this little town of 4,500 people, and the only devotee I see is Jivan Mukta Prabhu, which is once every few months. Now, I have a company that calls me up every day called Teleconnect. They're like a community service. They call me at 3 o'clock every day. They have about 60 volunteers. And, hello, Gaura, how's your day today? And so one lady called me today named May. And I said to her, May, there's a book I'm going to be having a broadcast with tonight called The Nectar of Instruction. And I explained it was 500 years old, and, it was the Upadesamrta, the Amrit, the nectar of divine instruction, and composed by a great sage. And I said, can I read some of it to you? And she said, yeah, sure. And I started reading to her Nectar of Instruction, first couple of paragraphs, and I explained about what Nanda Patni just read about avidya, and how that's the foundation for all other misconceptions. And after I read to her, because they only talk to you for 10 or 15 minutes, I said, so do you have any reflections on this? Do you have any thoughts? She said, yes, this is definitely something I need to look into a lot more. I said, you made my day. And I gave her vedabase.io. And I said, all of my spiritual masters' books are there, and you'll find that book, Nectar. And I said, so please do some reading. So the next time, I said, when are you going to call me again? She said, oh, maybe next week. I think you're on my schedule. I said, okay, well, there's your little homework assignment. Do some reading. And if you come back, if you have any thoughts or questions, that would be great. And she thanked me very much. So that was a little highlight in my day today, how I just turned a kind of mundane exchange into something transcendental. And it was this very point, as I was explaining to her, you're probably thinking you're a woman, but you're not, you're a soul. She said, yeah, that makes sense. So anyway, just wanted to share that little point.
I just wanted to comment something on the point you were making about debating atheists on evolution earlier.
All the way from New Zealand. Howdy bo.
Yeah,
Thank you. Yes, please go ahead.
I'm working today again too, but I'm just on my lunch break. Yeah, you go on those Facebook groups where there's the atheists debating and comments, and they're like the bottom of the barrel. They're like all the people that go on there just to argue, and they like associate with one another and razz each other up and do all the trolling and everything. But yeah, it's almost like a faith community. There's what's called the new atheists, which are those types that just like they misrepresent history. That they don't even understand what philosophy is. They wouldn't know philosophy. They tripped over it. And the leaders are the same, like Sam Harris and Richard Dawkins. And like I just was listening to one podcast. A guy was interviewing a historian who's an atheist that wrote a book recently about all the ways in which the new atheists misrepresent history. And but you get another kind called the intellectual atheists. And especially in the philosophy community, I do a lot of philosophy of religion, engaging with these people, having them on my podcast and stuff. The people who are actually philosophical, you give them an argument and they'll say, oh, that's a good argument. I'm going to have to go away and think about that. They'll be really genuine. They won't misrepresent anything. And if they can think to how you could form an argument better than you're actually forming it, they'll offer a better wording and give it back to you. So there's people worth talking to and worth having these debates with. And it seems like philosophy is the last vestige of people who are intellectually honest, like gender studies, all these other places. Everyone's ideologically motivated, but in philosophy, it's a special kind of person who gets into philosophy, and these people are really into actually trying to understand the truth, and even if they come to different conclusions. A YouTuber atheist who's on like an intellectual atheist recently put out a video called "Why I'm Disillusioned with the Online Atheist Community" or something like that, and he used conspiracy theories as an example. So he's not a conspiracy theorist as far as I know, but he was just saying like all the ways in which these online atheist communities misrepresent reasons why people believe in conspiracy theories are just examples of how they're intellectually dishonest. Like the reasons they give you why people believe them are so false. So he was kind of making the point that it's another religious community. And they just have it. There were some funny comments when he posted it online. Somebody who's a really serious philosopher, actually, he was making a joke. I think he said, I tried to join the skeptic community, but they told me I was skeptical of the wrong things. Somebody else said, I get disillusioned with the faith community, and they posted a picture of Frank Turek, who's one of those Christian apologists who is not very intellectually honest. So anyway, that was just my 2 cents. Sorry for that was around.
There's different levels of atheists, and that some of these atheists you can actually enter into a reasonable dialogue.
Oh yeah. There's a huge need for devotees to get into philosophy of religion. Like there's online. It's probably quite a small community, but these people are thought leaders. Prabhupada said, go for the top. So like, not, you publish a philosophy of religion paper and like a handful of people might read it, but those people publish books. Those people educate people in universities. Those people are looked up to. So not many people, there's a very small amount of people you're reaching, but these people kind of have that trickle down intellectual effect, like all the stuff that's in universities, 10 years later, it spills into society kind of thing. So I think it's a really important place to focus. And devotees who do get into academics, mostly they just get into religious studies, which is like, here's what the Hare Krishnas believe, here's the history of the tradition, here's the chants, here's this. Whereas philosophy of religion is speaking the modern language that philosophers are speaking, really understanding the arguments. And here's a robust philosophical defense. Here's all the possible counter arguments that somebody could give. Here's my counter arguments to those counter arguments. Here's the conclusion I'm defending. And this is why I think this particular truth about this particular philosophy of religion point is true, and everyone else should accept it. But it's like really robust and rigorous.
Srila Prabhupada wants us to be like that.
There's just, I'm doing this YouTube channel doing philosophy of religion. I'm always trying to find devotees to put forward to have on. I want to have Dinesh Rao on and do economics. I've got to read his book first and understand his ideas, but this is one thing worth presenting. What's the Vedic understanding of how to structure society? And
Nice.
That's one thing I want to do. But just finding people to do philosophy, like debate with atheists, does God exist, different other things, it's really hard to find people. And then when I do put a devotee on there, often they disappoint because, like, for example, like Dave Ramita Swami gives fantastic classes, like loft style classes, like preaching to new people. Somebody has an objection, he can like really walk over people with his logic and rhetoric. But those same arguments he uses, you put them in a philosophy of religion context and nobody takes them seriously. So for the style of preaching he's doing, it's fantastic. But if you want to come into the actual dealing with academic philosophers, it's a whole nother level of rigor that you need to do.
Wow.
And it's a lot of work.
Wow.
And there's almost nobody doing it. There's me. I mean, I'm just an electrician, but I do it as a hobby. There's Akshay Gupta, Adipurusha, Shivananda, Hridayananda Goswami.
Hridayananda's good on that.
He's good. Yeah, he's the few people who are getting into it. They take a lot of shiksha from him. He's not academically trained in this area, but he's totally capable. He's a genius. If he because a lot of work needs to go into to write a philosophical paper or book that these people will accept. You need to spend hours and hours and hours and hours. And he has spent his time historically on different things. He's wanting to get more into it. Right now he's working on the Mahabharata, which is a fantastic endeavor. But yeah, anyway, all around.
Thank you, Arjuna. That was a great contribution. You're inspiring me to want to understand the logic of the philosophy of religion and how to be a rigorous debater. I'd like to be trained in that.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a few things on my YouTube channel that are in that direction, and
Maybe you can send me a link to that, please.
I'll pick some links that I think would be especially relevant. Yeah, I'm going to have Prem Prayojan on for some debate soon. I don't know if any of you know who he is, but he's pretty good on logic.
Cool. Nandapatni, were you the last one to read? Thank you very much, Arjuna.
Yeah.
Did you complete your section?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so then after you comes Jivan Mukta. Are you there, Jivan Mukta?
I am.
Okay. The real disease is in the heart.
The real disease is in the heart. If the mind is cleansed, however, if consciousness is cleansed, a person cannot be harmed by the material disease. To cleanse the mind and heart from all misconceptions, one should take to this chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. This is both easy and beneficial. By chanting the holy name of the Lord, one is immediately freed from the blazing fire of material existence. Should I go on?
Tonight we have with us. Well, I'd love for you too, but there's a few here that have not read. Now, Rupa Vilas is here. Unfortunately, Rupa Vilas has no mic, but I'm really happy that he's here. I think he came also because he thought Rupanuga was going to be here, and I thought Rupanuga was going to be here as well. But maybe I hope he's not ill. So after you. We have Anne. Is that Melinda? Or I'm not sure. Anne, you've come many times. We've never heard you read. I don't know if it's because you don't have a mic or if it's because you're shy or but you're welcome to read if you'd like to read a paragraph, Anne. If not, then Mata Gandhari has come back again. Jai. Mata Gandhari, would you like to read the next paragraph? There are 3 stages. Or are you busy?
She's muted.
Right. I'll ask her to unmute. Gandhari, would you like to read? There are 3 stages? No? Okay, then it's back to the top again. I'll read. There are 3 stages in chanting the holy name of the Lord. The offensive stage, the stage of lessening offenses, and the pure stage. When a neophyte takes to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, he generally commits many offenses. There are 10 basic offenses, and if the devotee avoids these, he can glimpse the next stage, which is situated between offensive chanting and pure chanting. When one attains the pure stage, he is immediately liberated. This is called Bhava Mahadevagni Nirvapanam. As soon as one is liberated from the blazing fire of material existence, he can relish the taste of transcendental life. That's a whole topic right there. I won't go there right now, but maybe we can come back to it, about the 3 stages of chanting and the 10 offenses. Ragabhumi, would you like to read the next paragraph?
Yes, I do. The conclusion is that in order to get free from the material disease, one must take to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. The Krishna consciousness movement is especially meant for creating an atmosphere in which people can take to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. One must begin with faith, and when this faith is increased by chanting, a person can become a member of the society. We are sending Sankirtana parties all over the world, and they are experiencing that even in the remote part of the world, where there is no knowledge of Krishna, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra attracts thousands of men to our camp. In some areas, people began to imitate the devotees by shaving their head and chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra only a few days after hearing the mantra. This may be imitative, but imitation of a good thing is desired. Some imitators gradually become interested in being initiated by the spiritual master and offer themselves for initiation.
What does anyone think the Prabhupada is talking about here? That there's some people who imitate the devotees by shaving their heads and chanting Hare Krishna mantra. Who is doing that? Who's Prabhupada talking about?
Bhaktas?
People who go on Halloween.
Okay. You know what Halloween is, Ragabhumi? Do you know what that is?
My brother
Halloween? Yeah, I
got
do.
dressed up. My brother got dressed up as a devotee and went out on Halloween.
Really?
Yeah.
And how did
Yes, I know.
how
I know
did-
Halloween.
how did people treat him?
Good.
They probably said, "Oh, I haven't seen you on the street in a long time.
Yeah.
When are you gonna go chanting again?"
They show up in movies, really oddball movies.
Right.
Yeah. What was that one about the airline? What was it called?
That's Woody Allen, wasn't it?
No, there was another. It was a, kind of a really slapstick comedy type thing.
Oh.
I forget. It was the devotees had something in the airport called Transcendental Airlines.
Oh.
I think it was called Airplane.
Airplane, that's it. Airplane. That is some funny scenes, some very funny scenes.
Uh-huh. People imitating the devotees. They did an ad in Australia for blue jeans, your Wranglers. And it was a whole Harinam party going up the street, and one of the shaved-headed devotees, or actors, I guess, he's wearing his Wranglers, and he's saying, "I never go anywhere without my Wranglers on." And he's in the middle.
I think he said, I'm not going to join unless I can wear my rings."
There were a number of there were a number of ads in Australia with who was that devotee, that big popular singer there, disciple of what's his name, Shripalad, big Kirtaniya down in Australia. Yeah. He is the one that sang the song to Mr. Gorbachev.
All right, Mr. Gorbachev.
And there were a lot of the devotees were very widely recognized and participated in a lot of different activities in so-called society.
A lot of men wearing haircuts with like sikas. They're shaved up and they got a sika, but then they might have a mustache or a beard or whatever.
You're talking about devotees.
No. No, I'm talking about karmis, but unfortunately it's devotees now too.
There are many devotees who keep a mustache or facial hair and have a sika.
Yeah, right. No, I wasn't thinking, but now things have changed. Yeah. Gaudiya Vaishnav influence. Okay.
Which culture are you in?
Yeah. Okay. So
My turn.
your turn. Okay.
From where, if one is sincere?
Yeah.
If one is sincere, he is initiated. And this stage is called Bhajana Kriya. One then actually engages in the service of the Lord by regularly chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra 16 rounds daily and refraining from illicit sex, intoxicants, meat eating, and gambling. By bhajana kriya, one attains freedom from the contamination of materialistic life. He no longer goes to a restaurant or hotel to taste so-called palatable dishes made with meat and onions, nor does he care to smoke or drink tea or coffee. He not only refrains from illicit sex, but avoids sex life entirely. Nor is he interested in wasting his time in speculating or gambling. In this way, it is to be understood that one is becoming cleansed of unwanted things, anartha nivritti. The word anartha refers to unwanted things. Anarthas are vanquished when one becomes attached to the Krishna consciousness movement.
And Nanda Patni after. And then
When a person's relieved from unwanted things, he becomes fixed in executing his Krishna activities. Indeed, he becomes attached to such activities and experiences ecstasy in executing devotional service. This is called bhava, the preliminary awakening of dormant love of Godhead. Thus, the conditioned soul becomes free from material existence and loses interest in the bodily conception of life, including material opulence, material knowledge, and material attraction of all variety. At such a time, one can understand who the Supreme Personality of Godhead is and what his Maya is.
Jivanmukta.
Hold on a sec, sorry. Okay, although, is that where I start? Although Maya may be present, it cannot disturb a devotee once he attains the bhava stage. This is because the devotee can see the real position of Maya. Maya means forgetfulness of Krishna, and forgetfulness of Krishna and Krishna consciousness stand side by side like light and shadow. If one remains in shadow, he cannot enjoy the facilities offered by light. And if one remains in light, he cannot be disturbed by the darkness of shadow. By taking to Krishna consciousness, one gradually becomes liberated and remains in light. Indeed, he does not even touch the darkness, as confirmed in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 22:31. Krishna Surya Samaya Hayandakar. Yahan Krishna Tahan Mayara Adhikar. Krishna is compared to sunshine, and Maya is compared to darkness. Wherever there is sunshine, there cannot be darkness. As soon as one takes to Krishna consciousness, the darkness of illusion, the influence of the external energy, will immediately vanish.
That's such an important verse that Prabhupada put it on the masthead of his Back to Godhead magazine.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that verse, Tamasima Jyotir Gama, come out of the darkness into the light. So, any highlights, any special thoughts? I also have the illuminations by Srila Bhakti Rakshak Maharaj on this verse. If anyone is interested to read through it, it's quite wonderful. But I just thought to take any comments or questions from anybody, if you have any. One thing that Prabhupada says was about how people have the tendency to rectify a mistake with another mistake. And I was thinking, well, what are examples of that? I was thinking how in an Ayurvedic clinic, the first thing they generally do is they give you pancha karma. They want to clean you out. The pancha, 5 actions, karma. It's all about detoxifying. And then they think about building you back up. But in the Western system, if you have toxins, then they often give you more toxins to put on top of the toxins that you already have. Or if a person's suffering, they lost their job, they lost their wife, whatever. Then they go and get drunk, and they make the situation worse, rectifying a mistake with another mistake.
Or giving charity to someone in the mode of ignorance so that they can just go buy some more drugs or alcohol,
Right.
or even food distribution that's not prasadam. I mean, we know that food, that's not offered, every morsel is a bite of sin. So it's misdirected compassion. It can cause, can complicate things, could be, trying to rectify a problem, but creating more of a problem.
I also like Prabhupada's statement about blind leaders and how they're actually sinful rascals, and how it's been quite astonishing over the last couple of years to see a lot of devotees becoming influenced by the blind leaders in the mainstream media.
Yeah, that's for me, that indicates a lack of faith in Krishna consciousness ultimately.
Dineshwar Prabhu, any thoughts from you? And the Patni?
No, not really.
Okay. Yeah, I'd love to hear from Rupa Vilas, but did you get your mic fixed, Rupa Vilas? Hard to tell. Okay. Yeah, so
I think after these past few years, if anyone has any faith at all in any of these leaders of these materialistic leaders, they would need their heads examined. It's so obvious, the delusion. It doesn't matter whether they're materially qualified. Actually, their material qualification is their disqualification. It is so obvious. It's become so apparent.
it's, how does Prabhupada, the analogy Prabhupada gives, like a snake with a jewel on its head?
Very dangerous. And we could see how dangerous. You can see how, they justified usurping people's freedoms, and they're able to, whether they believe it or not, you can't trust a word from their mouths. In fact, liars and lying, truthfulness is being battered. And I was telling my daughter today that really a part of me feels that, if we had a king like Maharaj Parikshit, we should be executing anyone who is caught lying.
Wow.
Totally, they should be executed on the spot, especially these politicians. It is so egregious what they're, the evil, and how they're creating such a disturbance in society, leading us all to hell. It's a hellish situation. You can't believe anything that they say, which for a devotee is a good thing, because now we're forced to take shelter of the Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
Truth is only in Srila Prabhupada's books.
Unfortunately, how many devotees actually do believe those authorities?
I know, it's sad. That's what I mean. It's, "O ye of little faith."
So we've got a few minutes left. Here is this is the same verse. Sridhar Maharaj's commentary. Even Krishna's name, form, qualities, and pastimes, which are like sweet sugar candy, are distasteful to one whose tongue is afflicted by the jaundice of ignorance. However, when one constantly and faithfully chants the holy name of Krishna and becomes absorbed in his divine attributes, then gradually they become sweet and is destroyed at the root. Ragabhumi, are you still there? Ragabhumi? Devi
Yes, I
Dasi?
am. Devidas. I am.
Please read.
So, where did you start?
There
Okay. There
must
must
be.
be, it's small, an,
I'll try to
yeah,
make
an
it.
ear. Okay, there must be an ear of the type which can catch nectar, the sweetness from divine sound. That which is sweet to one may be bitter to another, according to the taste. In this verse, Rupa Goswami says, when our inner tongue is influenced by ignorance, the holy name of the Lord tastes very bitter. If there is an attack of bile in the body, then the tongue is affected and sweet things taste bitter. Avidya pito patapita. When there is an attack of bile, sugar cane tastes bitter. But when the disease is cured, the sugar cane will taste sweet. The holy name Krishna Katha tastes bitter and unpleasant now, but the holy name is the medicine to remove that defect from our inner tongue. First, sugarcane is bitter, but when we take more and more, then the disease will go, and the sugar cane's taste will be sweet. If we apply this unpleasant medicine for some time, that bile will be removed and it will be found to be very, very sweet. Raso Vaisa, which will gradually taste sweet, sweeter and sweetest. Krishna Nama is like that. To the ignorant is very bitter and repulsive. But this is the medicine to remove that ignorance, and gradually his glorious sweetness will come and charm the holy existence.
And the
Beautiful.
pronunciation of that word, Ragabhumi,
What?
about the secretion from the liver, is called bile, not bile,
Bile.
bile.
Okay.
That bile.
Sorry, bile.
Yeah.
Bile.
Manish,
I thought it was bile.
With the help of the Guru, the scriptures, and the previous experienced persons, Guru Shastra Sadhu, I shall try to stand the test that, yes, because this bile is so strong, everything is tasting bitter, but this process will remove the bile. I shall have to wait for some time, and when the bile is gone, I shall taste sugar candy as sweet. Maya santushta manasa sarva shukamaya dishaha. For one who is satisfied with me, all the four directions will bring only good news to him. All waves will carry welfare to that person who is satisfied with God only and nothing else. I want God, and his interests are my interests. He is the loving Father, guardian, and friend of everyone.
Nandapatni.
When we take the holy name at the beginning, we think it's our duty to count so many rounds. Sometimes it's painful. But when we get a taste for the holy name, then the inner tendency excites us to take the holy name more and more, not as a duty, not just to finish 16 rounds. When that inner sweetness comes to us, then we can go on with the real bhajan. That's the stage of service. It becomes automatic, spontaneous. When the holy name tastes sweet, then only does natural service begin. It attains the stage of bhajan and divulges the rupa. Then parakara vaishishta lila. In this way, it goes up.
Jivan Mukta?
There are so many stages to pass through to dive deep into reality. Our progress and speed will be such that we will have to pass through all these coverings to enter into this substantial world. Otherwise, we will remain in the realm of imagination, and thereby we won't get any strength within. First, our spiritual life begins with Shraddha, where we inquire into the eternal life. Then Sadhu Sangha, association with the experts of that divine plane. The next stage is Bhajana Kriya, where we must strictly observe what has been recommended for us by the sadhus in order to reach the next stage. Then Anartha Nivritti, the ulterior demands of our superficial nature will disappear. Nishta is the next stage, characterized by the continuous remembrance of Krishna consciousness. It is just as when oil is poured in one continual flow, not drop by drop, but a continual flow. Similarly, Krishna consciousness will remain always in our mind in some form or other. After Nishta, the negative side is eliminated. Nishta continues to increase into Ruchi. Sometimes we may find that we are in the midst of other aspirations. That is not Ruchi. Hold on, let me just, are you, I lost it. Hold on.
That is not Ruchi proper.
What happened now? Okay, I just got to enlarge the screen here. I'm on my phone.
Okay, if now and then.
Nushta means, where are we? Oh, if now and then some ruchi appears within us, that is not real ruchi. Proper ruchi is to be traced after nishta. Nishta means continued association with Krishna, 24 hours living in the relativity of Krishna consciousness. The advent of ruchi is only possible after the continued connection of Krishna, not before that. After Nishta, when Ruchi will come, that will be reliable. That is proper Ruchi. Otherwise, and there will always be humility up to the last point. One will always think that I have no Ruchi, because the finite is coming in connection with the infinite. We can never be satisfied thinking, I have got something. If we think that we have ruchi for Krishna, we have so much love and affinity for him, then we will commit many offenses and we will be hurled down. We must be very careful. After ruchi, the next stage is asakti, when we cannot tolerate any separation from Krishna. Then there is the stage of bhava, when we come in real connection with Vrindavan. Bhava is like the primitive stage of the flower, the bud. When that bud blossoms, it becomes prema. At the stage when ruchi and bhava appear within us, the holy name will be very, very sweet. The sweet taste will begin to dawn. That is the dawn of love, prema. Only that is rasa, and all other things are virasa, tasteless.
That was very beautiful explanation. I'm just wondering, there's devotees here who did no reading at all, and I'm wondering if it's just because they're driving or busy, or if now they're in a better position to read. Arjuna, are you busy driving? If you can read, please read. You're next. Otherwise, Anne is next. Otherwise, Gandhari is next. Otherwise, Nahush is next. Whichever one of you can read next, please read. Whoever can open their mic first, please be the next reader.
I can read.
Who's that?
Read. This is Nahush.
Nahush. Go for it. One tongue is not sufficient. Oh, I love this verse. Wow. Okay.
Hare Krishna. Okay, I will try to do justice to the Sanskrit. One tongue is not sufficient. In his Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Sanatan Goswami has written, Jayati Jayati Namananda Rupam Murarir Viramita Nija Dharma Darina Pujadi Yatam katham api shakrid atam mukti dam praninam yat paramam amritam ekam jivanam bhushanam me. All glories to the most blissful holy name of Murari, which causes the devotee to give up all religious duties, meditation, and worship. If somehow or other the holy name is chanted even once by a living entity, that person attains liberation. The holy name is the supreme nectar, and it is my very life and my only treasure. Srimad Bhagavatamrita 1.9.
Jayati Jayati Namananda Rupam Murarer. May the ecstasy and the service of the holy name always be victorious. Viramita Nija Dharma Dhyana Pujadi Yatnam. If somehow we come in contact with that divine sound, then all other activities become paralyzed. If one can get a little taste for that sort of divine bliss, then his charm for all religious activities vanishes. They have no necessity. First, dharma. Our sense of duty is paralyzed. Dharma means varnashram dharma. This business engagement of the karmi in this mundane world. There are so many variegated duties, but they have no necessity at all if we attain the service of the holy name. Dhyan, meditation, means to retire from this physical world and to meditate within, trying to exploit the internal world. That is also paralyzed when we serve the holy name. Puja, that is covering the Ramanuja Sampradaya. They are very fond of Archana. When one gets the grace of the holy name, he becomes indifferent to other service. Even Archana. Wow, this is hard. This is difficult for me to understand. There is no necessity. If you get the real grace of the holy name, then you will have to retire from all the phases of different types of worshipping, dharma, dhyan, and puja. The holy name will take you to the conception of Golok, and you will have to retire completely from all these phases of your life. Any work, even if it may be for Krishna, the name can stop all this. You will not be able to give any attention to any other thing. You will find so much sweetness in taking the holy name. When you finally come in contact with the sound aspect of the Absolute, then all other enthusiastic attempts in you will be paralyzed. Wow. Any comment on that, Dinesh Prabhu? That's just above my pay grade.
Wonderful. Is this this is something that he's added to this purport here, right? This is not, of course, it's not part of Upadesamrta. So, and you didn't change the book. So I'm just curious about how this is in there.
Well, this is the work of Swami, him and our godbrother Bhavananda Roy, Vishnu Swami, and they compiled everything that Srila Sridhar Maharaj said on these verses. They're
So
taken from
this
lectures of Srila
so
Sridhar Maharaj.
this book then is a
Compilation.
transcript of his lectures, or compilation. I see.
Yeah. So okay. Do you want me to do the Sanskrit Ragabhumi, or do you want to do it?
You can do.
Takshe dara dehe garma pulakita sabha charma vivarna hola kalevara murchita hoila mana pralayara agamana bhave sarva deha jara jara karyeta upadrava chitte varshi Shudhadrava more dare premera sagare kichu na bujite dila moreta batula koila mora chitta vitta sabahare. Ragabhumi?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tears flow from my eyes. My body perspires. My complexion becomes pale. My mind loses its equilibrium. I begin to feel devastated, and my entire body becomes stunned by ecstatic feelings. During this disturbance, my consciousness is bathed by a shower of nectar from the holy name that drowns me in an ocean of divine love. It will not allow me to try to comprehend anything. Rather, it turns me into a lunatic by stealing away my mind and determination. Sharanagari Srinam
Wow, I've got a long.
Mahamya 4. All other functions
Yeah.
are paralyzed.
Ganeshwar Prabhu?
I continue? Okay.
All other functions are paralyzed. You cannot attend to them. You are only chanting the holy name. Then again, what that name allows you to do, when that name allows you to do other services, you can do them. The name has such a high degree of potency that it will stop all other branches of service and charm you. You will find so much sweetness in chanting the holy name. When you actually come in contact with the sound aspect of the Absolute, all other enthusiastic attempts in you will be paralyzed. All other functions will be paralyzed. You can only take the name. Only when the holy name allows you to do other services can you do that. The holy name has such a high degree of potency. It will stop all other branches of service and charm you. What a song! The simple holy name of Krishna. What voltage is within? Who can understand? According to the depth of one's realization, inwardly it will react. In his Vidagdha Madhava, Rupa Goswami writes, go ahead.
Tunde tandavini ratim vitanute tundavali labdaye karnakroda kadambini gatayate karnar budebhya spriham cheta praganda sangini vichayate sarvendriyanam kritim no jane janita kiyadbiramritai krishneti varnadvayi.
Did you learn that from Dravida?
No, I learned that. That's the signature for Janmad. It's just I don't know. Chicago 25, something like that. I don't know.
It reminds me of Dravida. You've heard his chanting of various
Yes,
mantras.
he's a pro. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. He does Sanskrit like rap.
Yeah.
Or better than rap.
Exactly. I do not know how much nectar the two syllables Krishna have produced. When the holy name is chanted, it appears to dance within my mouth. We then desire many, many mouths. When that holy name enters the holes of the ears, we desire many millions of ears. And when the holy name dances in the courtyard of the heart, it conquers the activities of the mind, and all the senses become inert. Vidagdha Madhava 115.
That's got to be like one of the best verses of all time, don't you think? I love that verse.
That's what Lord Chaitanya thought.
Did he?
Yeah, I was reading that just the other day in CC.
Oh,
This is in Antya Leela. And
wow.
when Rupa Goswami was writing Vidagdha Madhava, and this one and one other verse, Lord Chaitanya saw, and he was very happy with him.
Mm-hmm. Nandapatni, Tunde.
I'm reminded of our godbrother Ayendra Prabhu, and how, of course, he actually did have an extremely strong attachment to chanting, and that's why he was able to chant Kirtan for 25 years at Krishna Balaram Mandir.
20 brahmacharis under him to make sure that 24-hour kirtan went on. And when I joined his party, the initiation process was you had to do 6 hours by yourself. And he gave me the 10 o'clock at night till 4 o'clock in the morning shift. And I have to say that even though the mosquitoes were biting my fingers as I was playing the harmonium, I found it to be so profound to be in Sri Vrindavan Dham chanting the Hare Krishna mantra through the whole night. And my mind was wandering to Seva Kunj, wondering if the Rasa Leela was going on, down the road. Anyway,
Yeah, he was an inspiration in that regard.
yeah.
Tunde Tandavani, when it comes down and captures the tongue, it strongly controls the lips and engages them in taking the holy name. The tongue and the lips become mad as that power descends in them. Ratim vitanute tundavali. And there also comes a feeling that only one tongue and one mouth is not sufficient. Thousands of mouths are necessary. One mouth is not sufficient to take the name. Karna Kroda Kadambini. When that current enters the ear and captures it with such great force, one thinks that only 2 ears are not sufficient. I want millions of ears to attend that sweet current that's entering into my ears. 2 ears, that's nothing. That is very unjust of the Creator. Millions of ears are necessary. If you can hear the sweet name of Krishna, then your heart may be a little satisfied. We have an unquenchable desire for millions and millions of ears to attend to the sweet name of Krishna. It is like a flood pushing through the ear. So sweet, so sweet. Chaita prangana sangini vijayate savendriyanam. It goes, as it goes to capture the heart, the center of all the senses, then everything becomes paralyzed. Wherever that sweet aggressor touches, the whole thing is captured with such intensity that all other things are ignored. No jnane janita, kiyadbir amritai, krishneti varna dvayi. I do not know, I cannot say, I fail to express how much and what sort of quality of nectar is in the holy name of Krishna. Only these two letters can contain so much and of such high quality of sweetness that it plays like this wherever it goes. Its nature is like that. That sweetness is so aggressive. Wherever it captures the whole thing and nothing remains.
Jivan Mukta? Beautiful.
What was that song? When oh when will that day be mine, right?
Kabe habe bolo se dinamar. Jivan Mukta, are you able to read the next? Drowning in an ocean of sweetness. Are you even there? I don't know. Doesn't look like he's. Let's see. Okay, so if Jivan Mukta is not there, how about Nahush, Prabhu? Drowning in an
Yes, I
ocean.
can read. Drowning in an ocean of sweetness. This is experienced with Krishna's flute also. The sound of Krishna's flute has so much mystic power that it captures the whole Dhamma. We are told that the current of the Yamuna stops to hear the sound. The current is established because that sweet sound is there. It attracts the trees, the birds, the beasts. Everything is astounded and coming in connection with the sweet vibration coming from the flute. Rupa Goswami says, I'll defer to you, Rupa, because you're better at this.
Okay, Rundan Ambu Britas Chamatkriti Param Kurvan Muhus Tumburum Dhyan Antaran Sananda Mukan Vishmapayan Vedasam Outsukya Valibir Balim Chatulyam Bogindram Agnuran Nayan Bindan Andakataha Bitim Abito Babram Vangshi Vani. Go ahead.
The sound of Krishna's flute stopped the movements of the rain clouds, struck the king of the Gandharvas with astonishment, and disturbed the meditation of the great saints led by Sanandana. Brahma was amazed. The mind of Bali became disturbed, and it made Ananta turn around as it penetrated the layers of the universe. Vidagdha
Wow.
Madhava 115.
When the sound of the flute came from Krishna, what was the effect? Vedasam out sukyavalibir balim chatulayan. Rupa Goswami has used this expression. Brahma was looking to this side and that side. From what side is this sort of sound coming? The creator of this world was perplexed. Where is this peculiar sound coming from? He was looking to this side and that side, and Bogindram Aghur Nayan, Anantadev, who is supposed to carry this whole world on his head is reeling. He is the support of this whole material creation, and his head is reeling. Where is this vibration coming from? It is so sweet, so capturing. Huh? What?
Someone came to the group.
Ragabhumi, your turn.
Yeah, I heard someone scream.
Please
What
continue.
did you start? Okay, in this way, Rupa Goswami says that when the sweet sound of a Krishna flute comes, it is of such a nature that its sweetness maddens us.
Maddens
It
us.
is maddens. It is so sweet, but we cannot adjust. We cannot capture it. We cannot utilize it for our purpose. It surpasses all our feelings of taste, of measurement, of good and bad, of pain and pleasures. They are all paralyzed. It surpasses everything. It's so sweet that it makes us mad. We forget everything. I'm nowhere but in the ocean of joy. How much sweetness or ecstasy or pleasure and satisfaction can we take? How much capacity do you have to taste? Our capacity is very limited. They may be covered by this flute sound of Krishna, that may be covered by this flute sound of Krishna, will drown me in an ocean of sweetness.
Daneshwar?
The inaugurator of Sankirtan. Sound vibration can play wonders. Sound has the highest capturing potency and power. Sound can make or mar. It can do anything. Sound has such an intrinsic capacity when that sound is absolute sweetness and goodness. Did I read that right? Sound has such an intrinsic capacity when that sound is absolute sweetness and goodness. That is universal, and that comes from the subtlest plane of ether. Such a universal characteristic, how can it capture? We are like blades of grass, and the current of that sweet sound may move us. We cannot trace our own personality. We may lose ourselves there, but we do not die. The soul is eternal. We are saved, but we are diving, going up and down, moved by the current of that sweet sound. That sound is so great and so sweet, it can play with us in whichever way it likes.
Nandapatni?
Nam Sankirtan is identical with absolute goodness and sweetness. We cannot suppose how much power that may have. Mahaprabhu says, don't neglect that sound which has come, which is one and the same with Krishna. The sweetness and the goodness, everything there has been represented to you in a very cheap way. Nothing is required, no money, nor physical energy. So many things are not necessary, only genuine souls. Take this sound sincerely, and you will be so enriched that none can believe there is so much goodness. You may obtain it very cheaply, but you must receive it with wholehearted sincerity.
Nahush? Nahush, Prabhu?
I'll pass this time.
Mahaprabhu laid stress on Sankirtan because japa is within, and their disturbances are allowed to attack. Let me read that again. Mahaprabhu laid stress on Sankirtan because japa is within, and their disturbances are allowed to attack. And there, okay, because japa is within, and their disturbances are allowed to attack. Okay, I may begin with some japa, but my mind will wander here, there, and everywhere. However, when I am engaged in kirtan, I cannot but be all attentive. Additionally, others are not being benefited from the chanting of japa. Mahaprabhu is the pioneer of Sankirtan, not of japa. That's interesting.
Mhm.
Krishnam Tusha Krishnam Sangopangastra Parashadam Yagyai Sankirtana Prayar Yajantihi Sumeda Saha. In Kali Yuga, those who are very intelligent will perform congregational chanting and worship the incarnation of the Lord, who constantly sings the holy name of Krishna. Although his complexion is not dark, he is Krishna himself, and he is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 5th chapter, 32nd verse. Ragabhumi, you're going to end the night.
Mahaprabhu came as Radha Govinda, combined, and is the inaugurator of a Sankirtan. His advice is so valuable and so necessary for us. With this spirit, you shall come and join the Sankirtana, which is most purifying and all-fulfilling. The positive attainment is that we may lose ourselves in the ocean of inconceivable sweetness of the holy name. That is Mahaprabhu's grace, Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam.
Wow. Dineshwar Prabhu, any thoughts from you about what we just read?
I appreciated this very much. You know,
too.
I haven't read, well, I don't think I've read very much of Narayan Maharaj's books, but I thoroughly enjoyed reading
That
this.
was Srila Sridhar Maharaj.
Oh, Sridhar Maharaj.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for clarifying that. Yeah, I enjoyed that very much.
If I understood correctly, was he comparing the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra to the hearing of Krishna's flute? Is that your understanding or anyone else's?
You'd have to back up so I could read that again.
Yeah, I
There
don't
was
know
something
if
about
it
the
was
flute, but I
direct.
don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a direct equation, if you will.
That's the impression I was getting, and I thought, wow, like, am I ever missing a lot when I'm chanting my japa? Actually, in ecstasy. I mean, I love the word he's using here, paralyzed. You should be paralyzed from everything else. I mean, if you're chanting real japa, right, and you're really connecting. Yeah, after he's talking about millions of years,
Drowning in the ocean of sweetness.
this is experienced with Krishna's flute also. That was what I was getting. He was comparing the Maha Mantra to the flute, Krishna's flute himself.
Mm.
Correct me if I'm wrong. That was what I was getting out of it.
No, I think they're separate. He doesn't directly make the equation. But he is talking about another form of transcendental sound, which is so sweet. And actually, on a different level, that becomes Gayatri, doesn't it? Because, yeah. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing.
I found this point interesting, not to want to minimize japa, but how important Sankirtan is. And I'm realizing, wow, I need to be doing more loud singing of the holy name than only japa, because like what was he saying there? That
well, that your mind will attack you in japa, whereas when you're in Sankirtan,
it sure does.
You're completely immersed by the
Right.
congregational element, which of course is true. I mean, I have amazing memories of going down Fifth Avenue with like 100 devotees led by Vishnu Gadar on Sankirtan, just that unbelievable feeling of being on those old Harinams in London or Georgetown, Washington, Philadelphia, LA, you know. I mean, I was fortunate to do that.
Yes.
There, but the really big ones where you had just tons of cartels, and this long snaking line of devotees, and then some booming Vaishnava in the front leading. I mean, it was just so beyond description. I mean, it was just so unbelievable.
You felt like you were in the movement that was going to take over the whole world with love of Krishna.
It was unbelievably powerful. It was unbelievably powerful. In the streets of London, people were so naughty. They'd sort of throw tea out on top of the devotees and stuff like this. And no, the devotees didn't, you know, care at all. And by the same token, in that particular period, in the late 60s, everyone knew the Krishnas. They were like kind of, there was this mixed reaction of ecstasy and kind of slight abuse, you know, because they'd throw things and whatnot. But they actually loved the devotees. At the end of the day, they thought it was just extraordinary.
I remember one kirtan I did my first time on my way to India to see Srila Prabhupada there. I was going there to get my Brahminical initiation, and we stopped in London, and Tri Bhubanath Prabhu led Harinam with Indradumna Swami, the two of them at the front of the line. And there was 150 devotees on Harinam Sankirtan going down Oxford Street, starting from Soho. And I never wanted it to stop.
Yeah.
How about for you, Dineshwar Prabhu? Any outstanding kirtans you recollect?
Well, mentioning Soho, London Harinam is my favorite for Harinam.
Yeah.
But we also, you know, I also had the good fortune to experience so many in Ukraine, you know, maybe not Harinam, but, you know, in terms of, you know, so many devotees chanting with high energy. The fall festivals, the largest one I was at, there was 10,000 devotees in a raucous, roaring kirtan. It was, you know, you feel like you've left the world. It was just so wonderful.
Kirtan to die for.
Mayapur could be like that. Gaur Purnim in Mayapur could be like that. That was an extraordinary sensation of it being so ancient on the bank of the Ganges under the full moon, and all these hundreds and thousands of people chanting. I mean, that's pretty amazing.
Gaura, who is this Moto G6?
I don't know. I was wondering myself, who is Bhaktamoto? Hare Krishna Moto Prabhu. Can you please reveal your divine form to us?
You're muted. You have to unmute, it seems.
No, I can't really tell. No, I don't see any mute for Moto. Do you have a mic, Moto?
He probably doesn't have a mic.
He was trying to speak, so.
Oh, gosh.
Bhaktamoto, please speak.
Yeah.
Is it a Bhaktin Moto?
Anyway.
They went into samadhi. Yeah.
Well,
And-
everybody's there must be everybody here that has so many wonderful experiences with Harinam. Arjuna was at the Beehive. You had some great experience there with Harinam, Arjuna, if you can talk. No, he's working.
Yeah, I'm just working, but I actually didn't make it down there. Unfortunately, I was busy with work and family.
Ah, okay.
Oh, Moto is Rupa. It's Rupa Vilas Prabhu. He was my temple president in Ottawa when I arrived there in the end of 1976, and he came from Hamilton, the same place as Uddhama Shloka, Vishvakarma, Bhumna, Mahavir, Barhishmati, and I'm probably leaving a few others out, Rupa Vilas Prabhu, that I didn't know so well. But yeah, he was my temple president up into the 80s. and he was heading up our yatra there in little. And one year, Ottawa won the award for distributing the most books for a small temple in the whole wide world. So yeah, I've got a lot of good memories. I invited him to come tonight, but he's like Mr. High Tech, so I hope he's gonna upgrade himself and get a mic. He works in the IT world, so he should have the latest and the greatest. Anyway, maybe for the next session. Gundari, we never heard anything from you tonight. We're going to end now, but do you have anything that you wanted to share? Any points from what we read? Or are you in Samadhi also? Any closing points from anyone?
I'd like to share one experience I've had with Harinam Sankirtan. We usually go to the football games in University of Michigan, in Ann Arbor, and it's funny that we start the Harinam, standings in a stationary place, and then we walk towards the game with everybody, and then we stand there, and then we come back, while everybody's still going towards the game. And it's really fun, and everybody's happy, they're dancing, they join in with us, and it really, I feel like invincible in the sense, like I can chant and not have to worry about what anybody has to say or comment, and people are just so happy to hear it. So it's not as intense as maybe what all of you have experienced, but it's definitely part of the intensity, and it's really nice. So I just wanted to share that.
Please keep doing that. Does Deva Madhava come there, or are they pretty busy in Ypsilanti?
Yeah, it's with his group. Yep. We go especially in the fall, but we do spring, summer, fall.
Good.
A lot of kirtan. Yeah.
Ann Arbor is quite a university town. Bhadra Narayan Das Goswami joined there. I think several joined there, right? Daneshwar, did you know that? Ann Arbor?
No, I didn't really spend much time in Michigan until the 90s.
Okay.
Indudumi Maharaj also, I think, joined there.
Yeah, maybe so. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's Detroit. I don't know if Detroit, Ann Arbor, same thing.
Pretty close.
Oh, okay, yeah, we're pretty close, yeah. But I thought maybe either that or there's some passing with Indudumi Maharaj in Ann Arbor. But anyways, it has a lot of history. Even our temple now, it has 108 North Adams Street. That's our temple address.
Yeah, these university towns are perfect for Harinam, like Gainesville. They love us there. Austin, Texas, another university town. Vishnu John Swami did a lot of preaching there. Anyway, I just found by reading this verse tonight, it really enthused me to want to chant a lot better quality japa and also to start doing some Harinam, even if it's just by myself, because I'm realizing I'm really shortchanging myself a lot when it comes to chanting the holy name. There's so much more I could be getting out of it, and I don't even feel like I'm scratching the surface.
You may remember we have one godbrother, Siddhavidya, who used to go every day on Harinam.
Yeah.
Many times just by himself. And I'm sure he obtained the mercy of Lord Chaitanya by doing so.
Yeah, he'd go with his kartals all by himself out there in Coconut Grove. And he wouldn't skip a beat. He wouldn't miss a day. And he developed a rapport with the people. He was very good natured, very blissful. I think he spent some time with Vishnu John Swami, so he got infected transcendentally. Yeah, wonderful God brother. Anyway, thanks so much everybody for your association. I feel really jacked up right now by reading this verse and reading it with all of you. Arjuna Prabhu expressed to me earlier that it's nice to read the Shastra, but when you hear it and you hear it in the association of devotees, it takes on a special quality of its own. So
taste. It's like the taste we're reading about tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, different flavor. Like Prabhupada was saying in 1966, if you're sitting in a room and listening to some music, okay, but if someone comes in and joins you and shares that music with you, then then you really start to enjoy. So Prabhupada was saying enjoyment means at least 2. So thanks a lot for increasing my enjoyment, transcendental enjoyment with your company, and look forward to commencing with Krishna book. I'm trying to remember what chapter we're on right now. We just finished King Riga. Oh, it's about Lord Balaram. I think maybe it's Lord Balaram's pilgrimage. Anyway, it's about Lord Balaram. I think Lord Balaram's Rasa Yatra is coming up too, isn't it? His Rasa Leela dancing, something like that. Or maybe that's in the summer. I'm not sure. But yeah, we've got Lord Balaram to look forward to on Monday. So please accept my respectful obeisances, and we'll see you same time, same channel, Krishna willing, on Monday. Vanchikopa.
Kripa Sindhu Vairavacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur ki
Hari
Prabhupada
jai.
Bol,
ki jai.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Have an
Hari Bol.
experience chanting
Thank you
Hare
so much.